It's Shallow.
Oh, because I'm Bradley Cooper.
Bradley Cooper, man.
Oh, hey, well, gosh, should I put on a cowboy hat or something? Or, do I have Lady Gaga singing with me?
Yeah. You know the lyrics?
Some of it.
Something about a droid, right?
A droid?
Okay, I'll play it. Let me see if I just learned it, dude. Hold on. Let me see.
Da, 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 da.
Can you hear that?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. I'm going to put on a cowboy hat. All right, I'm ready.
Country Bob.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit, lady.
Great rehearsal on doing that. Now you can do it for real.
Really? Are you serious?
I had to go get my cowboy hat.
Oh, okay. Ready?
This.
Okay. Are you gonna sing?
I'll try.
Okay, hold on.
I'll pretend I'm Bradley Cooper.
Okay. It's hard to play. I screwed up.
No worries.
All right.
We need Lady Gaga here.
Thought you were gonna sing.
Tell me something, girl.
Come on, yeah, that sounded great, dude. I'm telling you, you're an amazing vocalist.
I had a thought that Eddie Vedder should re-record every song ever made so that you could hear every song with that Eddie Vedder sound.
Some AI is going to do that very soon. I mean, we're going to get some AI to do that soon.
Exactly. It's like going to be a different version of Muzak, And so in all kinds of, when you're going grocery shopping or whatever, you'll hear Eddie Vedder singing Whitney Houston songs and whatever,
That's actually a good idea. Doing some AI that you can sell to all those places where they can sing music and very interesting actually.
Yeah, no, you're right. I agree. That would be pretty cool.
Because shop music is usually boring like hell.
Yeah.
So
I really
could probably do better.
Yeah. You know what? I love that song though, Shallow. That was a great album. There were some other great ones. That was actually a really good movie.
Yeah, that was really. I loved how it was a tragedy. It wasn't feel good. Like so many.
And that's like the third time that movie's been made. I remember the second version came out in the late 70s. It was Barbara Streisand was the up and coming person, and Chris Christopherson was the rocker who was on top of his game but about to fall. Right. And, and it's the same idea. As nobody's going up while someone is on top's going down. Interesting trivia that no one will care about related to that particular version of the movie is guess who was originally cast to be the rock star guy instead of Chris Christopherson? Wait for it.
Liberace.
No, bigger. He was the biggest rock star in the world, but he died. And therefore,
Jim Morrison.
It was Elvis Presley.
Really?
Elvis was going to play the guy who was on top of the world and then collapsed. And then he actually died. And so they had to scramble and find someone else. And they got Chris Christopherson to do it.
Oh, my gosh. So you're saying that he got ahead of the script?
Script. Sometimes that happens. You get ahead of the script, right? Yeah.
That's terrible.
I know.
Elvis was awesome, actually. It's like weird. Those, some of those artists, when you look at their early work, it's just unbelievable. Like recently, they've been releasing a lot of Eddie Van Halen, like Van Halen, like before they became famous, 8-track, recordings and stuff like that. I'm telling you, man, I've heard some stuff that I've never heard before.
Was it good?
Van Halen was killing everybody. I mean,
I love it.
They have this one. It's almost like an hour and a half. It's like a recording at a garage, like one of those backyard parties that they did.
Yeah,
his technique is unbelievable, man. I mean,
wow.
He'll take any shredder today to school, and you know what? The other thing was, he was an incredible blues player. I want to talk about somebody who knew everything and then took things to the next level, but nobody knew about it because he was doing the Van Halen stuff.
Right.
Yeah. His diversity, like the different styles he can play, is just freaky, man.
Yeah.
That's why he's considered the greatest. I would say that he had better musical diversity than Jimi Hendrix. I mean, it's freaky stuff. And he was only 19 years old, dude. That's the thing. He's like friggin' 19 years old and just friggin'.
And that's cool to hear. It's cool to hear that he had different styles. He was doing blues guitar and stuff like that. He wasn't always doing his classic.
No. Not even close. Not even close. He could do all the weird, like jazz bebop stuff. That's why the Van Halen music is so different from everything else that came out in the 80s that copied. They couldn't, for some reason, everyone vibed on something he was doing that nobody else could do or figure out. And even today, there's very few people who can actually emulate how he plays. Even Joe Satriani struggles with it.
Right.
And he's a freaking guitar god, right?
I saw something recently, related to blues guitar. There are always fans from the 80s. Neil Sean's really active on Instagram and stuff like that. And people are always asking about, hey, when are you and Steve Perry going to get back together and that kind of thing. And that's pretty normal. And he's like, it probably won't happen with Journey, but he said that he and Steve might do some blues recordings together where Neil would do some blues guitar and stuff like that. Just something totally different, Yeah. Now, it's funny when you talk about finding old recordings of Eddie Van Halen sometimes and it was great. I remember in the 90s and maybe early 2000s, after Kurt Cobain, died, lots of stuff came out, all these collector's sets, all this stuff. And then early days, Nirvana in the garage, in Aberdeen, Washington, recording. And it's the opposite of what you said.
It's terrible.
They're horrible. They were horrible. They had no idea how to play.
Yeah.
Kurt sounded like hell, and the guitar sounded like crap, and they were clearly just making shit up, and they just got better. But I've always heard that, whether it's the Beatles or other bands, a lot of them said, how a lot of people, this is a big life lesson, kids. This is from your Uncle Rob here. A lot of times you feel like you have to wait until you're ready or you got certified in this or you become a master of that or whatever before you can start. Don't wait. Just start. Whatever it is. The Beatles has started with that. None of them knew how to play. They came out and said it. We just decided we're going to make a band and we're just going to figure it out along the way. And I think that's what Nirvana did too. I think they just wanted to do it. They really sucked, but you keep getting better, right? Over time, and then in the end, they had a raw sound that kind of was people at that time frame, right?
Yeah.
There's research that backs that up, Rob, because I can't point out to it necessarily. But this is why children learn so fast, because they're not afraid of mistake. They're not afraid of sounding bad when they sing. They just sing, and then they get better over time. Yeah. So definitely.
Just start, people. Just start.
Yeah.
Change.
Yeah.
So go on, Pete.
What's up, Pete?
Good.
Who's representing?
I'm having a little bit of internet challenges this morning, so I'm thanking 5G gods for their air vibrations.
You sound great, though, man.
Yeah. Thank you.
Excellent.
Got up super early to drop my daughter off at the airport down in SeaTac and caught an early breakfast at Tommy's. If anyone's ever in Renton, Washington, I highly recommend.
Oh, Tommy. I've been to Tommy's before.
Do you ever go to a diner where they have those vinyl seats and then the table actually has like a laminate on it with ads underneath it?
Yes. I love it. That's the best.
Very, very, you know.
You know what? That's more authentic and legit, because
Very authentic.
A lot of times if I want to grab breakfast by the airport, I'll go to 13 Coins. But this sounds pretty cool.
Tommy's.
I'll have to check it out.
Check it out.
Well, I can't remember the name, but there was a very famous breakfast place in Silicon Valley. That I think there's 2 or 3 locations, and unfortunately, COVID killed them.
Oh, yeah, no, I think a lot of these restaurants, that was a tough one. But yes, it's amazing. Some of these, I actually went to another place called Pete's in Millbrae. If you're in Millbrae in the Bay Area, another one of those like vinyl booths with the laminate, like it was like, exactly the same.
Yes.
But they seem to survive. Like, it doesn't matter. They're just there. Maybe they have like very low rent or something's going on there, because there's hardly any customers in these places. It's like,
we tried to make the seats just like your grandparents' furniture that they covered in plastic.
That's right. It's all very bouncy, big chair in there,
I love it. I think my favorite breakfast diner around up here is in the town of Snohomish, which is north of us, north of Redmond and everything. There's a place called Jake's Cafe, and it's the ultimate, real, legit, all-American diner for real. Same women, the waitress has been working there forever. In fact, I know one time I did a recording. I was like, when you think about what businesses, all kinds of businesses could learn from others. And I was always, we go there, the food comes out so fast. They're so friendly. I feel like they put on a clinic every day of insane, awesome service, super efficiency, super fast.
No.
Multitasking. And I was like, you know what? Any business of any type could learn from just sitting back and watching the orchestration of a restaurant that really is running on all cylinders,
So how much of an improvement do you think would happen if you put like an agentic AI orchestration framework on top of all of that? Do you think it would ruin it, or would it improve it even more?
1000x.
1000x efficiency.
Okay, on that note, welcome everyone to IoT Coffee Talk. And make sure, don't take us seriously at all, because we highly recommend that you don't. We're just having fun. You bear all the risk. So take out insurance as you're listening to this.
Yeah.
Insurance. Speaking of AI, that's a place where AI is running rampant in the insurance business, but that's all other thing.
AI insurance, or the use of AI by insurance companies?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Although I like the idea of insurance for AI.
Yeah.
What if AI is like omission and error insurance, but for AI?
So I noticed, speaking of that, Shyam Varanath, one of our friends on LinkedIn, posted an interesting AI. It said state of New York is now going to track AI layoffs. There's like an article on LinkedIn.
So like AI driven layoffs?
Yeah, basically, it's the first state they're going to track whether the layoff is a result of artificial intelligence. It's like adding a checkbox when a company is doing layoffs, like worker adjustment, retraining notice, the warn notice, like we have.
Yeah, the warn notice thing.
So it's a new checkbox, and basically, it's like a 2-step thing. It just says, ask if the layoffs are due to technological innovation or automation. And then if they say yes, then it's going to ask whether AI was involved. And so
you can say either yes or okay. Those are your two options.
Yes or okay.
It's another data point, for that to
confuse everything and poo-poo the data. Yeah, no, it's stupid.
But more seriously, that makes sense. I mean, transparency is the most important. We have data points. If you have data points, now I'm pessimistic. We'll do anything with it if we start seeing that 70% of the layoffs are the result of AI. But at least we'll have the data. So I think it makes sense.
So we can run it into an AI model and see what happens.
Right.
Increase the layoffs.
I think I saw a stat that there was something like about 500,000 tech layoffs in the past couple of years or something like that. It's pretty chunky. I mean, I just sat down the other day to play some tennis, and with a friend of mine, he's like, yeah, I got laid off this week. And I was like, what? And he was in a sales thing at Microsoft, and they went through about a 7,000 person cut a couple of weeks ago. Across the board, all kinds of folks.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to sales, attributing it, in a company like Microsoft, I think here's the problem: attribution is a real challenge, right? And to to attribute someone being laid off because of AI, it'll be difficult because most tools will have some degree of AI in it. And what the hell do you mean by AI? Were you replaced by a chatbot or
unless it's like a human or
it's going to become a very useless metric very quickly, and then people are going to glean misguided notions off of any analysis based on that crap. It's going to be a joke. But here's one of the factors I think that is causing probably sales forces at a lot of these large companies to shrink, is that right now with all the infrastructure and service sales that you're seeing, these services and the infrastructures. Number one, the infrastructure, obviously, we know it's huge. These deals are massive, right? But then there are also not that many of them. I mean, take the example of Broadcom. They have like 3 customers for their entire quote unquote AI business, right?
Yeah.
3 hyperscalers. How many salespeople do you need for that, right? And before, their business was a lot more diversified, so you need more sales folks, right? You have more customers. But when you have like 3 freaking customers, how many do you really need? And so I think as a lot of this neo cloud stuff is coming into the CSP game, you probably need less sales folks because these deals are larger, and you probably have fewer customers that are bringing in a lot more revenue. And so you're going to probably rationalize your business in the sense that you're going to you're going to put a lot less attention to the smaller customers, and you're going to automate as much as possible and in order to scale, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Is that going to come out in the numbers? Would that kind of insight come out in the numbers? I don't think so.
Yeah, but you're generating a lot more. A lot of companies are generating more sales revenue off of kind of these SaaS self-serve models where there aren't as many salespeople involved, right?
That too. Yeah.
People are always looking at cost of sales. Although I met 2 people yesterday. One was a tennis person who was in sales who got laid off. Another was like a 30-year dev from Microsoft that got laid off. Yeah, who was like hardcore IoT embedded dev. Yeah. And so I think it's across the board.
Right.
And places where people are spending billions on nuclear powered data center build out, they need to find that money somewhere. And so maintaining margins means reducing headcount.
Yeah, but remember, it wasn't very long ago that Microsoft was hiring a crap ton of people for their industrial metaverse. Remember that? Just 2 years ago, they were a metaverse company. So everyone needs to remember that. They weren't an AI company. They were pivoting toward a metaverse company.
I need to go take a shower or something. Oh, yeah. So, it's interesting. Leonard and I sometimes chat about we've talked about AI, what's going to do to jobs, replacing skill sets. That's not a new discussion topic. Yeah. I posted, in our little LinkedIn chat group. I don't know it was just a short video clip. Leonard and I sometimes go, "Hey, you remember that guy from a few election cycles ago, Andrew Yang, who was running for president, and he was the only guy saying, hey, this AI thing is coming and it's going to be a bigger deal than all the other stuff that you guys are all bickering about." He talked about the automated truck drivers and all that stuff. Anyway, I just saw a clip. I guess it was an interview with him on CNN yesterday. And, he was, kind of same warning bells, in fact, he was talking about all the friends of his who've been laid off from tech companies and, just kind of hey, AI is coming for your jobs. And some of the discussions we've had and I've had with other people is, it's time to it's now time for people who are philosophy majors and policy makers in the government to start thinking about, and I think we've talked about this before, how do we restructure what society is supposed to look like, what purpose means for people, what capitalism means, all that stuff, in a world where lots and lots of people are going to start losing their jobs, not because they're not good workers, not because they're bad people, but because you know how it is. We know how we're big boys here. We got our big boy pants on. We know how big companies work. There's no this abundance thing where, don't worry, we're still going to pay you your 6-figure salary, even though you're on the beach and AI is doing your job. No, they're going to lay you off. And all these people are going to be unemployed. That's how our society works today. Is this BS, Leonard, or is it true?
Of course.
It's true. They are going to lay you off. And so that whole abundance thing, we have to have policy changes, societal economic policy changes that say how we're all, and so remember Andrew Yang was always talking about UBI, right?
Yeah.
People need to work on that because people need to eat and have a place to live. And if we all of a sudden have mass unemployment everywhere because companies behave the way they behave, that's not changed. Now pretty soon there's weird thresholds you'll hit. When do you hit a threshold of unemployment where people rise up? Because people will behave differently when they're put under constraints like that. What happens when you hit a threshold that you've laid off so many people that there's no one left to buy your products and services of your newly efficient company? That could be a problem, right? And we talked about, or do we just plug them in the matrix? Is it going to be like Logan's Run? What are we going to do? But it's interesting. I hear little bits and pieces of people talking about policy.
Yeah. So there is a really easy outlet for that pressure that you're talking about, Rob, and it's called crime, cybercrime. It's that's the thing that we don't. It's weird. I mean, think about it. How many people talk about what you just outlined and crime together? They don't.
Good point.
Right? They really don't.
People that do things that they wouldn't normally do.
No, they'll steal. But here's the thing. There's an asymmetry in how AI enables all these visions people have about what it can do and how it can impact X, Y, Z. The thing is, the asymmetrical enablement will happen on the criminal economy. We hear Microsoft talk about it all the time. We hear more and more people talk about it all the time. And the more pressure you put on people economically, right, they're going to resort to crime, and they have the tools for it. And so, think about there's a lot of countries where you have income inequality. What do people have to do? Desperate people resort to whatever it is that's available to them to feed their kids or feed themselves, and they will resort to crime. And so that's that other part of the equation that rarely is talked about especially by these abundance boneheads. I'll call them boneheads because anytime I hear them talk about how technology is creating abundance, I more than roll my eyes. It's like, have you just like this rationale that you're working your way through, Rob? You end up realizing that this doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? The practical outlet is, crime.
Yeah,
and it's happening
it is.
more and more.
Yeah,
crypto.
And technology. Well, it's interesting you mentioned crypto. You've seen there's a rising of people being kidnapped.
Oh, what?
Yeah. Yes.
What?
Yes, more and more. All those, especially there was several stories in France. A bunch of people who are related to cryptos are being kidnapped for ransom.
Yeah.
Oh,
And the reason
it's like crazy, dude. Yeah.
Here's the reasoning, which is very interesting actually. If you think about it, if you were to kidnap somebody in the 70s and want a ransom, to get the ransom in cash, you had to find somebody to package the cash and deliver it somewhere.
Big Lebowski,
So you had a lot of you had a lot of risk of where you're going to get the ransom. You need an intermediary. You need all this kind of cryptocurrency.
Drop the key.
With crypto, just an email with a key. So it's very easy. You kidnap somebody, say, send me some crypto, and you're done. No intermediary, no location, nothing.
Hey, come on, dude. Don't give people ideas. Jeez.
Them already, don't worry.
SWAT TV.
But you're
all the cop shows. All the cop shows, lawyer shows, crime shows give you all the ideas anyway. So
yeah.
No, but it's interesting how a crime practice that kind of disappeared is reappearing because of technology. That's what is also interesting, fascinating to me.
Yeah.
So we have a little short, small case study now to show how AI, on the good side, it super empowers you to do a lot more. But then you can also see how a company can go, oh, great, I need fewer of you, is one way to look at it. Or they can say, we can do more. So the crazy thing, literally, last night, I sat down with my favorite buddy, Claude, and said, I want to build an agentic framework.
And I saw that.
I built 3 versions of an agentic framework last night until about midnight. The first one was just this kind of basic thing just to kind of get going and spin up agents. The next one started adding more capabilities in for configuration management. What are they, pre-telling them what to do? It's all running in a console app, and little by little it got better and better. And then I was like, okay, I need to make sure that the paths to things will work cross-platform. And so we did all that. And so now, in just several hours last night, little old me built an agentic framework that runs on, Linux, Mac, Windows, whatever. And it creates all these agents and they can all go do their tasks and stuff like that. And it's a lot of fun for me to do it. And I'm going to keep working on it because it's fun. It's like, some people like to work on a crossword puzzle. I like to write code. But the thing is it's 100x or 1,000x empowering me to do this stuff. Now, the funny thing, and we've talked about vibe coding before. You actually need to have expertise on the space and a lot of how things work in these development environments, because if you don't even know how to use what the code or what it's giving you, you'll still be lost. And so I had to know how to parse these bits of code and create classes and create interfaces and abstract classes and inherit from stuff like that. But it happened. And the fact that I can wake up this morning and go, oh, wow, I did 3 versions of an agentic framework last night. How the hell did that happen? And it's real and it's just right here. It's like, wow, how does that happen? And so when we see all our friends at Microsoft and all these other tech companies, all these developers getting laid off, this is why. And so as a company, you're either saying, well, I'm going to create 100x more stuff, products, services, or you're going to say, I want to keep doing the same stuff and I'm going to lay off 100x employees because I don't need them because this AI can help do it for me. So, just real world examples of what's going on, right?
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, here's another interesting observation I've made around vibe coding, especially with agents, right? In the creation of agents is when you do ask people, so how do you test these things? What's the cycle? How do you adjust your SDLC to accommodate for testing of these squishy things that you're building? And there's no good answer, which is funny. I bump into it all the time. I share it because I asked a question, I get the answer, share it with you guys. There is no. So what really disturbs me and makes me wonder is when companies say that they're laying off a crap ton of developers because they've figured out how to replace them with AI. I think that's a red flag, to tell you the truth, right? Because when you look at the practices for safe and reliable and quality code development or software development with this AI stuff in all of its different iterations, whether it's a RAG all the way to a friggin' these, AI agents, the practices they're half baked, man. You know what I'm saying? And so when they say, oh, this thing generated about 30% of our code, it's like, yeah, but at what point in the SDLC, right? Because it's usually 1 or 2 tasks, and then the rest has to be done by somebody who actually knows what the hell they're doing to guide, any kind of AI tool that they're using in development of the code or the application, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, dude, I don't
think it's
just like, it's frustrating to hear this stuff from big companies, because to me, it just tells me you guys are flat out irresponsible. I wouldn't use if I was a buyer, I wouldn't use your friggin' product, because you're just demonstrating lack of discernment.
Yeah. You have to stop using every tech company's product then.
Well, the devil is in the details. The problem is that they don't really tell us or the people how they're actually injecting AI in their coding process, as you said. So it's a total black box right now, and you have no clue. The other concern I've always had myself is these AI models can be trained on existing code. There's a lot of shit and crap, pardon my French, in existing code.
Yeah.
The output of those things. So I think if you put into the hands of somebody that has extended experience of architecture and all technologies like Rob, and to a minor extent myself, yeah, you can create great stuff. But still, how much time do you spend asking the AI agent, how robust is that code? Is it resilient? What happened if this? What happened if that? Probably not that much. So,
yeah. And Rob, I'm not saying that, there's a better way of doing stuff, right? Safer ways of doing stuff. The question is are those best practices, are those like, really best practices and risk mitigations there embedded into that variety of SDLC methodology? That's the big question, right? But what I'm referring to is companies that go around saying we eliminated a shit ton of developers because AI replaced them. That's the kind of mentality that makes me wonder whether or not this company actually knows how to safely and responsibly adopt AI. That's my point, right? There are companies that get it. And when they probably don't allow vibe coding, they've adjusted their software development practices to ensure that if you are using these tools, you use it in only specific steps in the development lifecycle. You know what I'm saying? Test lifecycle. And then if you're using it as tooling for CI/CD, dude, come on. Even Google doesn't recommend that you use generative AI in doing any kind of any of the release functions, right? There's like warnings. It's like, do this shit at your own risk. But people do it anyways, right? Like certain security companies that are getting lazy about how they,
It's like you're talking about when Java came out from Sun, and the little text file says, do not use this with nuclear reactors or mission critical systems. Do not use Java for this.
And by the way, there's the other question is, what are they using for what type of code? What is the use case? Are they using that to build new application or existing application? Because this is my Dimitri rambling, my Microsoft moment now. So this new project I started, we use Microsoft Teams and back to Microsoft Office. The PowerPoint version you have in Teams compared to the PowerPoint version you have on your desktop, compared to the PowerPoint version you have online on Office 365, have all different functionalities and different bugs. And when you move from one to the other. So when I hear Microsoft saying 20% of the code is generated by AI, I want to say, go fix that crap first. And you know what is worse? Is every other colleague I talk to, their reaction is not, that pisses me off, I'm going to move out. It's oh no, it's Microsoft, it's normal.
Yeah.
Even this word of...
That's how I think.
Perhaps of, I'm going to write a LinkedIn post after this podcast, but I have a screenshot of, I have Word open in 365 and the same document on the desktop. On the 365, it said default font Calibra. On the other one, it said default font Apto. Same document.
What do you think?
Are you going to write a strongly worded LinkedIn post?
I am going to. and I know why. It's because the idiot that wrote the code doesn't understand metadata, and why the metadata is wrong. I know that. So can AI fix that? I don't know, but that would be a great use case to actually point this AI to all the, I'm going to say, shitty code that they've been reading for years.
That being said, though, there is a grain of truth. I mean, Microsoft has had Office for the Mac and Office on PC for decades, and the functionality has never really been in sync. In fact, there was a totally separate team in Mac Office. But separate from the Office team. Yes. And actually, Rob knows this too. When we wrote Office for Windows Mobile, that wasn't the Office team either. That was a totally separate team, like the Office logo.
But that was developed in a world where we did not have online collaboration and had to exchange the documents. So you had the Windows guys and the Mac guys, and at the end of the day, the output was a presentation, the Mac guy or the Windows guy.
Sure, but it's not always the collaboration tools that are the issue. The issue is just the human collaboration is the issue.
But that's a tool collaboration things. When someone uses my document to make comments, some fonts disappears, some bullet points get transformed into text. So it's a painful experience.
Oh yeah, no, I understand that. No, I agree. I'm just saying, like, there is, when someone says, "Well, that's Microsoft," I think they've sort of set the expectation that they will have multiple functionality blocks depending on where you're interacting.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, but
I'm not saying it's right.
Yeah, but previous product
we've all been calibrated to that.
You're talking about, Dimitri. There's this built-in trust that people have that if it came from Microsoft, it must be okay.
Not anymore.
Yeah, it's okay to be crap. Yeah, that's the expectation. And my point in all this discussion was, I think we could probably take a good use of AI to not try to do those complicated things that humans do, but to fix the basic problem that humans have every single day to do their job. I mean, I try to ask simple things to Copilot, and I get no answer for that.
But that's too broad. I mean, to ask for something like that, you're not talking about just AI and the code. You're talking about interoperability, which has been a tremendous problem across the board, no matter what.
Yeah. So, but the question is, where are we pointing? Where are we pointing the AI? We're trying to point the AI to very intelligent things, so-called, as opposed to really fix the foundational hurdle, little problem. I'm working on a calendar meeting. I want to get a document. He should figure out I've been working on this document and drop it up immediately, as opposed to trying to do rocket science with it. It's just my point here. Enough of rambling. I'm cooling down now.
Well, you could argue though you don't really need AI to do the basics. I mean, you just need the will, the priority.
That's my point. I do. Because there's a ton of little things you do every single day, copy, pasting, opening different things, which some things that understand the context should be able to vastly accelerate and make your life easy and your job more enjoyable.
Yeah. There's stuff you want to do though. You know how, I oversay it. People need purpose, and you could just give people money, or you could just take away all their stuff and then they'd be rudderless. Still, people want to do something. They want to have purpose in life. They enjoy stuff. So when I posted on Twitter, on X, that I built this framework last night, someone goes, "Why would you do that? Why don't you use such and such agentic framework?" And my answer is just, I like to code. I like to build stuff. It's fun. If the answer to everything we ever want to do is you shouldn't do that, there's already such and such out there. You should just stop. It's kind of like, I was like, yeah, I remember people saying that after I went to Hitachi, and they're like, "Why are you building another IoT platform? Why don't you just use Azure IoT or whatever?" And then, we built Lumada and Twins, and we were in the leaders quadrant. So those people can suck it.
Big question though, Rob, is what's with the fascination with Bradley Cooper?
Oh yeah.
It came out that way. I guess I really look like that. I can't help it. I can't.
I want to see the prompt. The prompt wasn't create an avatar of me that looks like Bradley Cooper.
Oh, tell me something, girl. Yeah. Yeah,
There it is again. See? Bradley Cooper.
I'm falling. Oh yeah, it must be there, So I use the Playground app that comes with your iPhone, and there's no prompt. It just says, "Show me pictures of you that you've got locally on your phone," and then it makes some AI versions and pick one. you know, and it just happened to be that I look just like Bradley Cooper, apparently.
Oh, so you're just giving up your data. Just go ahead, have that.
Yeah, like you've never done that before.
So
okay, so get this, right? All right. I mean, it's funny, Rob. That's typically you open up a can of worms. But I mean, if you look, it's every single place that you can find. It doesn't matter what it is, right? You can buy vitamins. They want you to buy a subscription. They want to send it to you every month. And oh, by the way, when you look at now they don't have EULAs, right? But they just have this fine print that says, oh, by the way, you know, your data, yeah, it's ours.
Yeah.
And there's no opt out. There's none of this. This is in just regular vitamins. How much more if you go anywhere else? Oh, and they're using AI to write these things to kind of lock you in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's just the whole. I mean, the world is crazy right now, and trying to make sense of it will drive you crazy.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's the challenge right now, even as an analyst, right? And Rob, you probably sense this now that you're in the game, and that Matt Eastwood loves your ass. He thinks you're awesome. I had a chat with him, so. Yeah, he said you filled in really well. It's really tough for analysts, right? Because it's such a squishy situation. Mm-hmm. It's hard to get any bearing because there are no guardrails. I mean, whatever you think is like a sensible thing, it gets twisted all of a sudden. You know, like sort of what happened today with a particular exchange of weaponry that's happening in the Middle East, right? You know, none of this stuff that would conventionally, or at least in a previous world order, you wouldn't think that it would happens, right? And that even applies to the tech universe.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Really,
this crazy world, you never expect to see posts like on Facebook from someone you know from a long time ago from Microsoft saying, oh, you know, was woken up at 3 a.m. this morning in my hotel in Tel Aviv and had to rush down to the underground bunker, you know? And so it's like, what a world, right?
I think maybe we have so much sensory stimulation that people need to say and do even more and more outrageous things just to break through. Mm. Maybe that goes for foreign policy as well. It's like, you know, quiet diplomacy doesn't work.
There's definitely overstimulation and escalation there. And I think, Leonard, you said the world order. They're used to be a world order. You can pretty much argue that this is going away. It's not ordered anymore.
No. It's been it's destabilized, and a lot of it is. I think a lot of the damage is yet to come from this, let's say, destabilization or, you know, fragmenting that's happening. Because once the U.S. dollar loses its power, we're going to have a lot of interesting days to look forward to. So, and you know, that's the thing about crypto. A lot of people are looking at crypto as some sort of get rich type of scheme. But, you know, I had to tell my mom this because she keeps telling me to invest in crypto. I don't, for a very fundamental reason. Number one, if you were in the crypto community or you were tracking the crypto community back even before people were talking about blockchain and all this other stuff, and it came into vogue, a lot of the folks who are in that community are Russian. Okay. And at that time, blockchain and crypto became a thing simply because, you know, at that time, people may recall that's when Russia invaded Crimea, and then there were sanctions applied to Russia, right? And when you looked at the crypto community, it was almost like you were participating in some sort of, you know, pyramid marketing type of community, right? With all these folks getting up on stage, instead of presenting, screaming and yelling in a ridiculous excitement because their Bitcoin went from like 0.1 cent to like $1. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I don't think do I have to remind people how much like criminality was associated with crypto from the very beginning?
Traceable currency.
Yeah. And so when you look at when you consider the fact that even today, nobody can figure out what the hell crypto is. And it's funny because you can go to CoinDesk and watch their stuff. And I occasionally do that just because I want to know, have these idiots figured this stuff out yet? You have financial institutions that haven't figured it out yet. They will get on television and say, well, we don't know what the intrinsic value and the fundamentals are for this thing.
There's no fundamentals. There's no intrinsic value. There's nothing backing it.
Right. And it's owned by these whales who own probably 90% of all the...
Yeah. I mean, I do know a lot of people who got rich off of Bitcoin, but they were miners early on.
Right.
And
is this the point in the show where we introduced the IoT Coffee Talk meme coin?
Yes. Yes. I think it's time.
All right, let's roll it out.
And we're going to give 10% of our
kids.
10%, to the kids. You know, the rest of us will be for our palaces that we'll all be buying in the greater Dripping Springs metro.
Yeah, after we cover our costs.
After we cover our costs.
I swear.
Which are high.
Very high cost.
When Pete said, let's roll it out, I thought he was about to say, let's roll it up. I was like,
well, you know, it's almost the weekend, Bill.
I got a lot of green stuff in my background.
I'm saying, I was about to be like, Pete, where you at? I'm on my way.
Oh my God.
But seriously, guys, that could be a cool, AI-driven IoT Coffee Talk AI experiment. Let's use some AI to create our meme coin.
There you go.
Yeah. Let's just do it.
Launch it. Who cares? Maybe
I heard it only takes 5 minutes. It only takes
on that website, didn't we? Or you can have a coin and get. I want to see it on Coinbase, man.
Yeah, maybe we should do.
But that would defeat the purpose of the like-minded and inspirational people we are. We don't want to depend on the platform that we don't control. The whole point about this crypto ecosystem is supposedly, this is why actually it doesn't work for financial institution, because there's a fundamental impedance mismatch. The way the management is centralized, the way this technology is decentralized with no ownership. So we don't want to be dependent on another platform. So we will have to have our own platform. True.
But what you just said, a lot of people don't understand, which is ridiculous, right? They really don't I mean, they might know in terms of, semantics that it's decentralized or, central versus centralized, but conceptually they don't know what that really means and the implications. But I want to go really quickly back to why this crypto stuff is really dangerous. The BRICS, you guys know about BRICS, right? Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And then that whole consortium is getting larger and larger day by day. One of their missions for BRICS is establishing a counter currency against the US dollar. Mm-hmm. You know what? They don't even need to do that. Crypto. In all likelihood, Russia probably owns the vast majority of crypto.
But there is a problem with that again, because it's decentralized and there's no ownership of one entity.
They don't care, because what they want is that decentralization so they can do whatever the hell they want and nobody can control them. The loser will be the US, because the US dollar will be compromised, even with these stable coins and all this other crap, all these other concoctions that they're talking about. And that's like a huge risk that I really don't hear anyone talking about, right? They talk about the dollar, the dollar as the world currency and interest rates, but they don't talk about the risk associated with
But here's the problem you have, is that if you don't have a central point of control of a central power that can guarantee the value of the asset, why would people trust that this conglomerate of people where nobody owns everything is going to be trustable? Because at the end, it's just electronic. So that's the problem you have fundamentally. When you buy the US dollar, you don't buy just the paper.
But it serves the purpose of what BRICS is trying to do. They don't have to abandon their currencies. They can use crypto to basically have that latitude to do whatever they want. And
fine. But at the end of the day, it's an economic exchange. When they want to buy something that is in dollars, they're going to have to convert that thing into dollars, unless there is a digital dollar. So I don't see that being a threat. Now, if you think about it from a financial institution standpoint, if you were to rely solely on crypto and you want to regain control or keep control, you need to own half of it, which is more than half of it in most of the models, which is interesting because the banking systems nowadays, you can actually lend money with very, very little reserve. So if we switch to this crypto model, you actually forces the ones that control it to have actually much larger reserve. So it could benefit for the people if you think about it this way.
Well, it depends on who these whales are.
Yeah, because right now
Winklevoss twins.
Yeah. Because right now, every time there's a big crisis, we have to go
be on this call right now as we speak.
Probably, yeah.
Every time there's a big lending crisis, now we have to give money to the banks because they just don't cover and they can't just give the money. In a crypto world, if you want to control it, you need to have at least a significant portion of it. So, interesting model, maybe. So banks might not get what they want from switching to crypto.
Point is not about controlling crypto; it's taking control away from the US dollar.
Creating alternatives. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. But
the thing is when you have all these people who are investing US dollars into this thing, that's American wealth going into
instead of buying treasuries, buy crypto.
It hydrates that particular asset. And then it also allows whoever it is that owns those early Bitcoin, you're empowering them. And so if it's in a government entity like North Korea, which has tons of this stuff, you're empowering them. I mean, it's just.
But keep in mind that, this is just the monetary aspect. At the end of the day, the power comes from economic power or military power.
Monetary. It's not a conventional monetary instrument.
I agree, but it is the way to channel or exchange economic power or military power fundamentally.
So who's the largest demographic that's actually buying crypto today? Right? It's not us. It's not us. It's not the boomers. It's not Gen X. They're not the largest buyers of crypto. It's happening generations behind us.
There you go.
But it's
I'm not even sure about that. Is there a real analysis of who is buying and using crypto? Because is it I don't know. I haven't seen any data on that. Is it just
go out to the colleges and have conversations with some of the
Yeah, but this is not data. This is conversations.
This is fact though. The fact is when you go out and you talk to these people and they're having real conversations about, what I'm protecting they're like, forget 401ks. They're not talking about SEP IRAs or anything like that. They're talking about their crypto investments.
Yeah.
Okay, we're talking something different here. Crypto investments, I can understand that. But investment is not just the value of monetary system, which is what we're discussing here. So agreed, investments maybe. But they don't buy with crypto. They don't go on Amazon and buy with crypto. They don't buy things in North Korea they cannot buy in the US because it's in crypto. It is the only way they can buy it.
But they're running off to a crypto ATM.
Yeah, there were crypto ATMs and they're gone away now because nobody uses them. So again, it's a multi-layer problem here, obviously. As investment, I'm totally with you, Leonard. I think people that are betting the investment in crypto thing are taking major risk, I do believe, because it's a very, very unknown territory. There's going to be a lot of disappointed people over there.
Bottom line, people really don't know what they're investing in. If leading financial institutions and their analysts and their chief investment officer can't explain what it is, even today, okay, you have no fucking idea what you're investing in.
It depends on what your definition of is.
No, seriously, I have. The thing about it is I don't debate with the next generation or anything like that. I'm curious to find out what's motivating you to do this. We get into the conversation now. I'm going to shift the power of control over to: do you understand the technology that you're dealing with, where it comes from, and how it's governed and how it's managed?
Yeah.
Where is your crypto held? You have a cold wallet. Oh, really? Who's managing that? Who's in charge of that?
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute. No. So now there comes a whole bunch of stuttering and stammering about, okay, that's not what I'm worried about. No, well, you need to be.
I lost my wallet in a landfill. And now I'm going to spend the rest of my life digging through the junk to try to find it. So if anyone out there,
gold bars.
If anyone's curious about, the US dollar is the world reserve currency and what it's backed by, and this is not new information, it's backed by this.
Yeah.
Just so we're all clear, I know people said when we went off the gold standard in the early 70s that now it's just a random floating thing, not unlike crypto. But just to be controversial, our currency is backed by nuclear weapons. It means we have the biggest stick. No, I'm serious. When you say who's got the biggest stick to back up, right? It's either economic power or military power, right? We can do stupid shit. We have the biggest debt ever. God, what are we at? 36 trillion now? When other countries default on their debt, and we call them third world or banana republics, and they have a wheelbarrow full of cash to buy a hamburger. The reason that stuff may or may not happen in the U.S. is because we have this really big stick that says, "Oh well."
Yeah, well, that's part of it, right? You mentioned economic. It's fundamentally backed by the fact that we are the biggest economy in the world, right? And have been we are the fastest growing big economy. Actually, no, China is, but historically we have been. And actually in the last 15 years, we've outgrown Europe. Our economy grew like 50% and Europe stagnated, right? And so it really is backed by our economy. And you're right, Rob, there's the whole military aspect. But then also it's trust. Our financial institutions are the most trustworthy in the world, and they're becoming less so.
Right.
And so crypto has a role in that.
Right.
So
Bradley Cooper has a role in that too.
Sure.
I'm falling.
But is anyone that's working with crypto even worried about cybersecurity at all?
no.
It's easy. It's easy. Just to put a big password and it's fine.
I mean,
Fine.
Quantum crypto, post-quantum crypto.
no, that's right.
But Bill, it's in the name. It said crypto, so it must be secure.
Safe.
It must be. Yes.
Of course, it's crypto. Crypto. Come on.
There's a cryptographic bond around this whole thing, and
Exactly.
Oh.
Yeah.
that's what it meant all along.
So,
All right, I'm going to run my app for you so that you know it's real. We have our own IoT Coffee Talk agentic platform now. We're going to fire that sucker up, and there it goes. And it's doing stuff in a little console app. And so I think I've got 2 agents running that are managed by this thing. One's
cool.
a file system monitor, and the other one's just scraping some web data.
One's a crypto agent, the other's a ransom agent.
Yeah, pretty much.
The crypto mining
Yeah,
on a laptop.
that's what it's doing.
Donate to elevate our kids, or else I will wipe your hard drive.
Well, you know what? This is what everybody wants to know, Rob, is an
Yes.
AI PC. Is it a Copilot plus PC?
That's right. Are you using the NPU? Come on.
GPUs. How many GPUs do you have? How many back orders do you have with NVIDIA?
Yeah, it's using the new Intel. What's the version of their GPU for PCs? Arc. Yeah, Arc. I don't know, but yes.
Yeah, Arc graphics.
Arc graphics, not to be confused with Gaudi on servers. Yeah, Arc. I don't think this is so. Just to be clear, there's a big difference between having an agentic framework and lots of agents, and then saying you have AI agents. It's what do you want the agents to do? Do they need AI? Do they need just if this then that?
Right.
Yeah.
So they are just basically sending hello world at each other, right? At the moment.
Yeah, that's all they do. It's like, hello, hey Bob,
hello,
hey Fred,
hello,
yeah,
hello,
hey Bob,
hello.
hey Bill, yeah, right.
You watch them for hours.
Yeah, but this is so much fun. The first version was stupid, just fire stuff up in a console window and then quit. The next one is like you were talking about software development lifecycle, Leonard. All right, what are the different states it's in? What if one of the agents crashes? And so we put in changes to it. So if an agent crashes, I have it serializing what it's done. And then when it fires up, it can pick up right where it left off, which is pretty cool. Configurations, what are the agent's tasks? This is back when before the AI stuff, I was trying to build a digital twin based agent platform because the twin defines what it is. Is it an employee? Is it a whatever and what to do?
Do they have an identity, those agents?
Yes, I just added them to Active Directory.
Oh, shit.
I'm not sure that the best technology you've selected.
I think you're done. I think you're done.
But the fact that there is an identity, well, no, but this is a serious question. Basically, we're not going to have time to discuss it today. But those AI things need to have an identity so they can be traced and we can know what they are. Otherwise, they're just ephemeral workload. But there is no transparency on what they do.
That's a big gap right now. Huge
gap.
Tech stuff.
All right. I'm falling. I look like Bradley Cooper in the AI world. I should have brought my AI Lady Gaga with me to help sing this song. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us today. What did we talk about? IoT. Got it. Lots of AI, lots of crypto madness, lots of crazy stuff going on in this world. Thanks for joining us. You can tell that we're clearly smarter than any AI and most people on the planet, as it turns out as well. But we're here to support the kids. So go out to elevateourkids.org and donate. Buy some merch like Pete's got on. Pete's legit. Poor guy who's up at crack of dawn to go to the airport. Woo, that's tough. Go to Tommy's. Go to Tommy's for breakfast, down there. Thanks for joining us. Buy some merch, donate, help these kids. Connectivity, laptops, do your homework remotely. Buy crypto remotely with that laptop we give you, though, kids. That's not what it's for. Okay. So long, folks. It's been great having you here.